Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for having this hearing. Thank you for allowing me to participate, although I'm not a member of the subcommittee. This conflict lasted 2 years. 500,000 people died. That's 40 times the number of deaths in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict since October 7th. It is outrageous that this conflict has not gotten more attention in the world. That is not a problem caused by our witnesses here. They're working on it every day. We have a UN Secretary General who outrageously said that what's happening in Gaza is unparalleled. No, what's unparalleled is what happened in northern Ethiopia. We have a number of others in the human rights community who have very falsely said that what is happening in Gaza is massively larger than anything that has happened since 2019. No, it is what we're here to talk about today, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, for having this hearing. There's also a feeling that since we had the Pretoria Agreement in November of 2022, our job is done. I think this hearing has illustrated the fact that that is not the case. I know there's been discussion here about Ethiopia's desire for a seaport. Obviously, we don't change international boundaries almost ever. But I will point out, I believe that Bolivia has certain rights with regard to Chilean ports. There are a number of other circumstances where a landlocked country has the right to use a port and have access to it and to not have tariffs on goods going out or going in. And I would think it'd be a step toward peace if Eritrea would agree not to give up any of its territory, but also not to charge tariffs. Mr. Hamer, thank you so much for coming to my district and meeting with the diaspora there. Last November, I asked Assistant Secretary Fee if the United States would support additional sanctions on Eritrea if they fail to withdraw their troops from Ethiopia. And I asked us particularly sanctions on the president himself and on mining that goes on in Eritrea. She said yes. It's a year later, and Eritrean troops are still there. What's worse is that they are committing extrajudicial execution of civilians, sexual enslavement of women, and other terrible human rights abuses. So I'll ask you, why haven't we sanctioned Eritrea, its mining operations, and especially its president?
Thank you, Representative Sherman. Good to see you again. And I appreciate your passion, dedication, and concerns for all Ethiopians affected by horrific human rights violations. And as you've indicated, the job is not done. We continue to work on this every day. I appreciate your comments on access to a port, access to the sea. We discussed this earlier in the hearing, but it's interesting that you would mention Bolivia and Chile, as I have served in both Bolivia and been ambassador to Chile, and had a discussion with Prime Minister Abiy just last week on Thursday, on Thanksgiving Day, where I mentioned that they might want to look at that as an example. But the Prime Minister has clarified or made public remarks that, in fact, he's looking for a commercial, peaceful way to achieve that access, and so we will continue to encourage that. We can ill afford another war on the Horn. In terms of your specific question of sanctioning of Eritreans, we have sanctioned some. We have extended the executive order, and we continuously review whether we should sanction other individuals or organizations. So I'll take that back and see where we are.
Especially with a commitment made by the Assistant Secretary that under those circumstances we would have sanctions on the president. It's time to act. It's been a year. What would be even better, of course, is if Eritrea withdrew its troops. There's absolutely no justification for their being there. Second, I understand that our food trucks will be getting in next month, that finally Abiy has relented and allowed us to have the control necessary to prevent massive theft. And I'll ask the witness from USAID, are we going to be sending enough in, not only to deal with those in refugee camps, but all the very hungry people in northern Ethiopia?
Thank you, Congressman Sherman. We're going to do our best on this.
Do we have sufficient funds and trucks and logistics to get the job done?
We have, we're confident in the logistics chain that we're doing it. We're confident in our partners' ability to deliver, and with the very generous support of Congress, we greatly appreciate. We think we're in a good place to continue to make a difference in the lives of the Ethiopians.
People are hungry.